Sports Show, 9 to 11 a.m., Monday to Friday on Observer Radio 91.1 FM.
Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Jojo Show on Observer Radio 91.1. My name is Jojo Apparicio. I'll be in your company until 11 a.m. this morning, where we talk all sports. Of course, with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Sometimes we take the mickey, sometimes we take the mouse. Sometimes we remain very serious in the world of sports. Locally, regionally, and internationally, it's Good Morning Jojo on Observer Radio 91.1. If you're in Antigua and Barbuda, the number to call is 462-2911, 462-2912, and 462-2913. Those are the numbers to call. WhatsApp me, 776-3641. Joseph Apparicio. I was born in Antigua, grew up in Trinidad. Parents are Trinidadian, so I have a Trini accent, as you can well suggest. But I spent most of my formative years, secondary school in Trinidad, came back here, finished off secondary school, did some more secondary school, and been here ever since. I think growing up in Trinidad had a big influence in that regard. In Trinidad, there were like 4 daily newspapers, and my aunt, who I grew up with, bought all of them. So you just didn't have a choice, really. And because Trinidad, they play so many different sports, more than Antigua. There is hockey, cricket. You have your regular sports: cricket, football, hockey, basketball, rugby to a certain degree, and of course, the regular track and field, tennis, and what. And at that time, growing up in Trinidad too, you had just started to see via satellite. So there was Wimbledon via satellite. Beyond Bog was playing McEnroe, and you just watched it. There wasn't cable TV, so there was only like 2 television stations. So you just watched it. I remember watching Sugar Ray Leonard fight Roberto Duran in the first match, and then the rematch where Roberto Duran, no mask, no more, and it was via satellite. So you just watched it. And so when I came back to Antigua, I still just followed sports just in general. And then there was ESPN, which is catered mainly to the American sports, which is baseball, football, hockey, and a little bit of track and field, and most of the NFL. I got into the NFL from watching ESPN because, again, you don't have a choice here. You either watch it, you either learn to love it, or you lose out. So I guess that's how it is now too. I've coached. I played football, and I have an English FA coaching license. I'm one of few people in Antigua with an English FA coaching license. But I love coaching, and I love coaching at the under 15, under 14 level. That's just my forte. But so I have coached. I tell you what, in football, Diego Armando Maradona is the greatest I've ever seen. And people may disagree because, again, we come down to the generation. And I've always said, greatest I've ever seen. Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards is the greatest cricketer I have ever seen. Maradona, Michael Jordan, in terms of basketball and the NBA, is the best I've ever seen, bar none. And when it comes to boxing, because Sugar Ray Leonard, I had seen Muhammad Ali when he wasn't Muhammad Ali. But Sugar Ray Leonard, after he won gold in 1976 Olympics, he just propelled. So we naturally gravitated to the showmanship and everything that Sugar Ray brought with it. So those are the people that, most recognizable for me. Julian Rogers was head of Observer Media at the time, and Julian and I were good because I was working at the time with Heineken Beer, so we used to advertise here, and so he and I would have a good dialogue, and we would talk, mainly cricket, And so, I used to say, one day I said to him, you know what, Julian, really, a sports show really could make it. And the EPL had just really started to gain momentum here. For me, though, I've been watching English football since in the days of Glenn Hoddle at Tottenham, Glenn Hoddle, Steve Archibald, Ricardo Villa, Ardiles, and so on at Tottenham. There was Liam Brady at Arsenal, Sonny McElroy and so on at Man United. So these are, so before people got into the EPL here, it wasn't even the EPL at that time. I was into it. And I was saying, and so I tell him, Julian, and then, why don't we? And one day he says, listen, Jojo, you know what? Let's try something different on Hits FM. And so 7 to 10 a.m. No, 7 o'clock in the morning in Antigua is primetime radio. And I must say, when you looked at it and you figured, primetime at 10 a.m., 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., how much things can you talk about at that time? Oh, and it was unheard of. And 6 years later, or 7, we're still at it. And I get up in the morning, and I still have the same routine. I get up by 4 in the morning. I go through all the sports pages, all the newspapers in the region, and then I go for BBC, ESPN, Quick Info, and then I would look at the different stories and we choose. And what I did was that I gave my perspective. I find a lot of people, when you host a show, is give your perspective. Have a view. Because that's where the banter comes in. And people like the fact that, listen, I'm not going to sit on the fence. If I don't like something, I'm going to say I don't like it. And so, I even know to myself, I am no celebrity, I am no star, I am no idol, nothing. But I really said to myself, wow, Jojo, 6 years and you have a sports show. And to me, you know what is the biggest joy for me with it? Is when I see other radio stations having a sports show. Because who would ever think that you could have a sports show in Antigua at a prime time in the morning and people listen, So that's... I love the interaction. I love the fact that it's your opinion and my opinion. We may not share the same view, but we hear it. And I like the crosstalk. I like the banter. And you could tell that some of these guys, they know me personally, most of them. And so we have the trash talk. And so we're not afraid to say, oh, Joe, you're just hogwash. And we like that. And so that is part of it. That, to me, that's the best thing in it. The worst thing, though, and let me tell you this, is I wouldn't say it's the worst thing. Sometimes you want to be left alone. But you know what? It comes with the job. And like, for instance, in my other life, I have a marketing company called Josiah Marketing. And Good Morning Jojo has opened the doors for Josiah a lot. But people tend to think that all I can do and all I talk about, all I know is sports. When really and truly, I'm not the smartest kid on the block either. But I'm a big history buff. And so I love, 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 love history. And so I always find a way to tie a sports story into something that happened before in history. So it even makes it more interesting. But the hardest thing, though, is that sometimes you want to be left alone and people still want to talk. But you know what? Hey, it's all good. And it's a small line, 108 square miles. We're all good. We did the 50th birthday, surprise birthday party on air for Sir Curtly Ambrose. And in the audience was Sir Andy Roberts, Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards, Sir Richie Richardson, Winston Benjamin, Kenneth Benjamin, and I think one or two of Sir Curtly's friends. And Courtney Walsh, which is, if you say Curtly Ambrose, you say Courtney Walsh because they both came along West Indies team at the same. At the end of the interview, I got, and even before just to have them in the room together is, I just sat back and I said, wow. You know, so we had a lady, she brought in the cake. So Curtly had no idea. We had spoken to Courtney Walsh about it. And so Curtly and I are good. And he would say, I'm not coming on no interview. Call me on the phone, man. We're good. I said, no, you have to come up, man. And then Courtney Walsh, who I know also, he was in Antigua. And so I said to him, you know, this is what we're doing and wherever. And he said, Jojo, no problem, you safe. You know, in his Jamaican twang, right? And so he made sure that, you know, Sir Curtly was in the studio. And then while we were talking, so he didn't know that we were doing this surprise party. In walked Sir Viv, Sir Andy, Sir Richie Richardson, and you should see the look on Sir Curtly's face that, wow, you know. And to me, that when you do stuff like that is, you just feel good. You know, and people, and strangely enough, you know, so there was, in fact, and the other point when it was really good for me, I remember about 3 years ago, Sir Viv had said that, you know what, it's his birthday, he wants to take it easy. And we were the only people to get an interview with Sir Viv for his birthday. And we had the ACB in Australia calling about the clip, Sportsmax regionally, BBC. People called me, I had no idea who they were, right? I didn't even know how they got the number for mine. So they were, and you know, so I think, you know, so this guy in his Australian accent was explaining to me that, you know, they know it's Sir Viv's birthday and, you know, he had said he's not going to do any interviews and I'm the only one. I didn't even know that actually, to get an interview with Sir Viv on his birthday. You know? And, you know, at that time you say, wow, you know, you've arrived. Yeah, and so you're good. You see that, eh? And so people, yeah, that's how we are. And just to go on, you know, like my daughters and my children just can't believe that, you know, so they hate to go out with me because we have to talk to so many different people. And and I could just imagine our politician has it, right? But everybody and everybody in Jojo good. I get no teeth on that. And the same things I say on the radio is phrases that I would use. So we you know, we've said some things like when somebody is trying to, Trinidadians would say mama guy, right? On the radio show we will say, oh boy, he pull a kung fu, right? You know, and bragadang beef boom bam outside, right? That means just drop and yeah. And so, you know, Nito brought in this thing about putting people in the Shaolin temple where you hear like two kung fu men fighting and one of them is screaming for murder. It's just a matter of bringing all these phrases together and we have fun with it. And, you know, to me, the best thing is that people laugh and people will say, oh boy, I enjoy Jojo, I listen, I have a good laugh. And, you know, you make people who are not sports fans into sports fans, and they just
Hey Jojo,
yeah, right?
How you doing now?
I'm good.
Are they sports boy?
Yeah. Imagine somebody interview me.
Yeah, Jojo Mako.
Yeah. I tell you what, radio is, even with the advent of TV and social media, radio is like, it's a part of us. It's history. When the West Indies cricket team were in England in the 50s and 60s and doing well, Sir Frank Worrell and so on at those times, radio was the only thing we got commentary from. So it has never ever, it has moved on, but it's always there. Every house you go in Antigua must have a radio. Yes, you're going to have your TV and everybody has a laptop, phone and whatever, but listen, they must have a radio. And at some point throughout the day, they will turn on that radio. So it is still an integral part of our society. People may not believe it, but it is true. It's an integral part of our society still. And once we hear it on the radio, we quicker believe it because we hear it. It's like, you know, when I was small, we thought that once you heard it on BBC, that was the beginning and the end. The alpha and the omega of radio was BBC. And so I guess, yeah, we still like radio. Well, that's a big one. I think we need to understand the power of sports, whether economically and socially. I don't think we understand that yet, and how it brings everybody together. For instance, you know, there are two things right now that's underlying Caribbean people. Whenever there is a sporting event and soca music. And I think sports and entertainment is one of the same, and that comes about because of T20 cricket and what we started in Antigua with, you know, with Chicky and the party stand and so on. So sports became entertainment. And my dream for it is that the powers that be understand the power of sports and how sports is entertainment. And so, you know, everybody benefits. As we say locally, everybody eats a food. So, you know, if there's a horse race meet, the vendors eat food, the taximen, the busmen, everybody gets, and people don't understand the trickle-down effect that everybody, you know, in some way, shape or form benefits in some way. So my dream is that we have a better understanding of the power of sports. I was surprised. You feel good, but I tell people all the time, I am lucky for Observer Media. I came along at the right time, and there's a good group of people that work to put Nito Baptiste, at that time Carl Joseph and Carlene and Knight. And so there was a good group of people that you know, that I just take the credit. But there is a group of people that works behind of it. And I am just lucky to be the face or the front of it. So the award isn't so much for me, the award is for Observer Media. Because I can't do it by myself. What people like is that they know the face and they know the person. But you know what? It could be any face and it could be any person. So that to me is... In cricket, the Guyanese cricketer, Shemran Hettimaya, I think he's the most natural cricketer we have, the most natural gifted batsman we have seen since Brian Lara. I make no bones. And you know, sometimes we have this thing because he's not Antiguan and because we think, oh, well, you know, because there was the insularity and so on, or, you know, because he's not from here, that, you know, I don't see that. My mind doesn't work like that. I think if you're good, you're good. It don't matter to me where you're from. So that's in cricket. There's also a young cricketer in Antigua, mid-20s, Devon Thomas, wicketkeeper. I think he's an excellent talent. I would pay money to go and watch him. In terms of football, there is two players in Antigua that really excite me. Peter Reds Harriet, that's my big man. I make no bones. I think if Peter Reds, like Fernando Abraham, like Everton Batao Gonzalez, like Derek Prettyboy Edwards, were in the right setting in a bigger country, sky would be the limit. No bones about that one. And there's also Ronaldo Flowers, who's just went to England on a tryout. He won the Flow Skills Challenge, went to Trinidad, and so he went on a tryout to Arsenal. Well and good. But those are the two people that, in terms of football, that, you know, there were a couple of Antigua's just done well in terms of local basketball. Adonis Humphreys, when I see him play basketball, I'm really excited. He's just about 2021. So he's somebody that I think, you know, in terms of tennis, I love to see Jody McGinley, who's just, you know, he's just turned pro. And to be a professional tennis player is not easy. There's young James, he's a golfer. So I try to follow as much of these sporting, you know, just the younger ones, to see what they're doing and what they may or may not become. Now, mark you, there is no guarantee for success. And I mean, no matter how much talent you have to be presented with the opportunity and you have to be able to work hard. Because God will only give you the talent. You have to harness the talent. And at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to what you want to get to too. So that's about it with that one. Boy, I don't know how long again. I tell you what, if I get up in the morning and I don't feel for it, it's like an athlete. You know when it's time to go. But right now I love it. Right now I love it. But if I get up tomorrow morning and another offer presents itself somewhere, and if for whatever reason Observer doesn't think that, I would move on. But for me, I just keep going. I love it, actually. Oh boy, I don't know. Listen. It depends on who you ask. And you know, in everything you have your detractors. But let me just say this though. You know what my dream is, my bucket list for this show? I would love to host a regional sports show. That is my where we're Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Kitts, St. Lucia. You know, where I'm the host and we can just talk. And we have so much talent that's just need the opportunity to come out. But that's my bucket list right there. To me, that if we get a regional sports show, boom, I'm good. What do I want to remember as? Just having a good time. I have a good heart. People, you know, I get emotional with some things, really. And so when people call and say, boy, Jojo, you did this and you did that, I say, you know what, don't thank me, thank my children. And so when you see them struggling, help them. Because at the end of the day, to me, that's the most important thing. And that's how I really want. I want to be remembered as Jojo, had a good time and have a good heart. And right there, I'm good after that.
All right, thank you. That's it.
No problem. We're good.
Hey, 10:57. We come to the end of another Good Morning Jojo on Observer Radio 91.1. Today is Wednesday, so we just have 2 more days to go in the week. Tomorrow is Thursday, and so, you know, we want to clean out the system a little bit. Tomorrow, people, you know, we're saying, of course, it's water only Thursday. Tomorrow is water only Thursday. So all of you have put in all the juice here and the juice here and the gujnu here and the gujnu there. Water only Thursday tomorrow. And we come to the end of another Good Morning Jojo on Observer Radio 91.1. And we want to thank all those people who called, text, participated in the show, some way, shape, or form. And as we say each and every day, do not only go out and watch a sporting activity, go out and participate in a sporting activity.